We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. Got a host of other news we'll be covering next hour, getting into the abuse in the prisons, stuff they force them to eat. They know that more than half their diet is soy. It's causing the men to grow breasts, to be totally unhealthy, have all these illnesses. They don't care. Let's talk some about that. A host of other news I haven't even gotten to yet. Compulsory National Service Bill introduced again with the compulsory service provisions. I'll cover that next hour, how that ties into slavery, the modern prison grid. You look at the graph from 1980, prison numbers, and it just goes like that straight up, from a few 100,000 to millions and millions, above 4 million and 7 million total in the system. Going to Rob Dew, Jason Douglas, I guess is still doing an interview with somebody out at the Tent City. They're in Sacramento, California right now. Rob Dew, our radio producer, also film editor and videographer for INFOWARS.com, working on the new Obama film with us. Not Obama Deception, a whole other one we're making for July 4th release. No rest for us here. Rob Dew, tell me about your experience when you got into Los Angeles, what you saw there with the homeless in tent cities, what you've witnessed up in Sacramento. They're now going to force them. And I have a video clip coming up with Schwarzenegger and the Sacramento mayor saying, look, tough love. You can't just live out here in tents. We're going to make you go to the fairgrounds. So Rob Dew joining us from California.
Well, Alex, I don't think they're going to go quietly. Everything, the people that we've been talking to here, they don't plan on going to this Cal Expo Center. They're very, they don't get a lot of information or feedback from the mayor or the city. They just come down all of a sudden and tell them things. And, it's a real interesting environment. Everybody that we've met so far has been really nice. These people just want to live here and be left alone. And, it's right at the edge of town, and you go right over some railroad tracks where a levee is, and you can see there's at least, in just this one little area, there's at least 300 tents kind of spread out over a few acres. And from there, it goes, the levee runs right along the river, and then, they say it runs back another 6 miles. There's pockets of tents scattered in. And so there's a lot of people here. It's really windy right now. It's been hard to get good audio for the interviews. We have to get inside a tent to keep the wind out. But we've met a lot of nice people, and they say they're not going to move. They say if they try to make us move, we'll just grab our stuff and walk off.
Well, listen, I want you guys next to hike all the way down that and to have Jason Douglas interview you, as you go to the trees, as you go by the levee, and show how there's a whole community down in there. The media says 145 tents, but then local news is set up to 300 tents. How many people just in this one archipelago of people living on the edge?
Well, I would say it's definitely more than 350 people that I've seen walking around. We counted the tents in just the one area that we're at. We have there's 85 in one section, and then it runs along a fence line where there's another like 30, and then there's another section that opens up, and that's got 40 there. And then even before you get to those areas, there's pockets of 10 tents here, another 15 here. You go across the bridge, there's some underneath the bridge. So they've really scoped that area out, and they say, look, we're not bothering anybody. We're out of the way. They really don't have a lot of crime there. We were there till 10:30 last night, and at no point did we ever feel threatened. Now,
what type of folks are these? We've seen newscasts where it's lower middle class people who got a bad mortgage, lost everything, they can't get credit for the 2-3 month down payment for an apartment or a rent house. So most of them have said they're trying to save money to get out of there, and that they're going and leaving with their cars to jobs.
Right. Well, and that's an interesting thing. We met one guy who's been working, he's been out there for about a year now, and he has a day job. He works every day in construction and comes back and lives there, and he just, he likes the freedom. He doesn't really want to have an apartment. A lot of these people, what we've been finding is that they want to be out here. They're not looking to be part of the system. We have met people who've been kicked out of their apartments for not making rent, and then they have to make that money, that 2 months plus a deposit. And then if they have a dog or a cat, it's another $300 to $400 on top of that. So we have yet to find a person that said they've lost their mortgage. Although what we're hearing from the people is that a lot of the people we've talked to is that there's there's one guy that lost his mortgage, and he was there for about a month and a half, and then he left, but he still comes back to bring stuff for people. So what we're thinking of is, from what we've been gathering, is that has kind of been hyped up in order to create the news story. But these, a lot of the people said they've been out here for years. There have been some people who've been out there for a few months. A lot of people, they're either getting kicked out of their house by their spouse, or they're just losing their apartment because they can't pay rent. We met one guy who was a director of sales for his company. This small company was a flooring and tile company, and the company went under, and he lost his job, and he hasn't been able to find a new one. And he was staying at the Cal Expo Center for a while. But you got to really hear about this Cal Expo Center. This place is definitely, this is like a FEMA camp in the making. I mean, you have to be there. You have to be at the pickup point by 3 p.m., and they bus you over to it. So you're not allowed to bring hardly any personal possessions. You can bring a backpack and a bicycle if you have a bicycle. And they put those in a storage unit for you. When you walk in, and the guy's telling us all this, we have it all on tape. He said, first they wand you down, and then they pat you down.
No, it's prisons. Listen. I mean, go over, but this is what I kept telling people. They say they have in the news CPS in there if you have kids, and they say, oh, your child's in danger, they grab them. So they won't let you go out and live in the woods or go out and live on the side of the road or live by a river and then try to raise money. They're going to force you in with the crackheads, with the heroin heads, with the schizophrenics, with the, kind of baseline of classic homeless, with this new homeless, the working poor, integrating them into this hellhole, taking their basic freedom away. And as the economy implodes, you're going to see more and more of this. And this is the precedent Obama has said, and the bill's introduced to set up these FEMA camps and your prisoners in them. So what are they saying? What are they saying that the Expo Center, the fairgrounds, is like? And are they saying they're going to be forced in?
Well, a lot of them are saying they're not going to go. If they say if they try to force them in, they're going to say no, and they're either going to grab what they can grab and move farther back into the woods. Because what's been happening, they've been kind of kicked out of different places, so they've been all kind of corralled into this tent city area. It used to be spread out over a larger area, and slowly people who own the different parts of property are either telling them to move or kicking them out or whatever. So it's kind of conglomerating into that. But going to the Expo Center, you have to be at this bus depot by 3 p.m., so there's really no way you could have a job because it's out at 3 p.m. Nobody. And then they take you to this place. You're not allowed to bring anything with you. They do provide food there. Who knows what it's like? I didn't see the food yet. And then they're kicked out at 5 a.m. They wake them all up, put them back in a bus, and drive them back to Loaves and Fishes. So they're really not providing much, but just this kind of weird environment that you can kind of get some sleep in. Because they do have some bunks there, but they say the bunks are made for almost children, and they spent almost $1 million to upgrade the facility, and they added 50 bunks. There's a lot more than 50 people out here, and they're not going to go. I can see that right now. They're either going to pick up their stuff and walk away, and what they've said is before they've grabbed the stuff, thrown it in a dumpster, and then they just wait for the cops to leave, and they go back and get their stuff out and set up their camps again. All
right, Rob, here is your mission. I know some of them are going to have cell phones for their jobs and things. Get as many names, numbers, and cell phones. Get a little bit of money, too, for their minutes. I want to interview them when you get back at the end of the week. I want to have 3 or 4 of these people on, kind of a cross-section. Okay. And I want you to give them the producer cell phone you have, the company phone, to call that when all this starts, so that we can, or a day or two, if we can find out when they're coming, I will send you back to California so we can be there, or we can get citizen reporters, We Are Change, or 9/11 Truth, or Ron Paul meetup groups, whatever, to cover this when they try to forcibly move them. Schwarzenegger has said sometime in the next month. Now, he's been out there several times. We're going to play a clip of that coming up in a few minutes. Do they have any idea of when they're coming to throw them out?
They keep saying for what they're thinking is the end of May is what they keep hearing now. The end of May is the time that they're going to have to be moved. But they keep moving it. A few weeks ago it was the end of April. Before that it was the end of March, and now it's the end of May. So they keep kind of pushing out the deadline. And
well, if there's 350 people, how are they going to put them in something with 50 bunks?
Well, it's actually got, I think it's got 100 bunks, and then they added another 50 more. We're actually going to go out there today and talk to some people in a little bit. We're going to drive out there and see what it's like.
Yeah, I want you to be there at 3 if you can. I guess you guys are scheduled to come back tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow late in the evening we're going to take off. I think about 6:30 at night.
Well, I mean, this is a key shoot. You might think about moving the ticket to Wednesday, because I need you to go back through that archipelago to show these are people literally in the wild living back here, and how it's a lot larger than what the news even shows. I want to show them showing up to get on the bus at 3.
Okay.
So if you guys have to split up, that's fine. But that's in about 2 hours your time. I want you to get up early, please, to show them coming out at 5 a.m.
Okay.
And
bring them back. Yeah.
Yeah. How much have you now? Are they letting you as media? Have you been out to the Expo Center yet?